Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Research Summit. I'm Lisa Barreau, the Vice President for Research at Utah State, and we're very excited to have you here. Our crowd is still drifting in over time here, but we need to get started. It is my great pleasure today to have us talking about, I think, a subject that many at USU have interest in, which is the future of food. We know that we're living through an era where many factors could influence our food supply, could influence the agricultural side of food, all kinds of areas, water, climate change. And so these research summits are meant to bring us together to have a conversation. And so they're built around having a group of panelists from USU or from elsewhere, today's are all from USU, to talk about the forefront of the field, not what we've done, but what's ahead of us and what we should be thinking about. And so with that, I would like to invite our four panelists up to the front. They will join us, and I'm not going to introduce them. They will do a self-introduction, but please, panelists, come on up and take a seat. There is a microphone on one of the chairs, and we'll just pass it down as we have our conversation. Okay, and we're very excited to have multiple colleges represented here today, as well as the USDA. And so why don't we get started? So let's go ahead. Carrie, why don't you start us off and just tell us your name, what department you're from at USU, and then how you're related to the field of food research.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so my name's Carrie Durward. I'm in the Nutrition, Dietetics, and Food Science Department in the College of Ag. I focus on the area of nutrition called community nutrition or public health nutrition. I am our extension nutrition specialist, so I'm one of a few extension specialists in our department, and so my connection to research is primarily through applied research, looking at extension programming, needs assessments, evaluation, stuff like that. And so my work related to food as well as to health disparities focuses on a few different projects. The first, one that's been going on the longest that I've worked with is called Utah Double Up Food Bucks. It's a nutrition incentive program that provides nutrition incentives for people who are on SNAP benefits to spend their money at farmers markets all over the state of Utah. And I've been working in that area since 2013 when I first came here, and my very first graduate student, Matea, said that she wanted to focus her dissertation on nutrition incentives. So we started out with a seed grant from the Office of Research. Thank you very much. And the program has shown amazing sustainability continuing on through that time. More recently, we just found out that we've been funded for one of 3 new USDA nutrition hubs. So our new Western Region Nutrition Security Collaborative is getting started. And so this is really looking at different interdisciplinary, collaborative, networking, capacity building work to increase nutrition security. And we're really working on it from kind of a community engaged lens. It is a collaboration with faculty from across USU, as well as in my department, like Katie Krause, who's here. And also a collaboration with colleagues at New Mexico State University and the University of Arizona. I'm also very pleased to work with some of my Extension County faculty peers on diabetes education. So diabetes is one of the diseases where nutrition education can really do the most to have an immediate and very dramatic impact on disease outcome. And unfortunately, clinical diabetes education is not widely available and not always used. And so we're trying to fill some holes there. We currently have a grant under review to expand to some other audiences. And then the final topic that I do work in is food recovery. So next is Lindsay.
Hi, I am Lindsay McCabe. I am a research entomologist for the USDA Agricultural Research Service Pollinating Insect Research Unit. The government loves their long names. I am also adjunct faculty in biology here at USU, and I do all bee research. So all of my work involves pollination. I look at the ecology, behavior, and biology of solitary cavity nesting bees and try to understand how abiotic and biotic factors influence pollination efficacy in crops and in natural settings. All of my research involves finding alternative non-honeybee pollinators to pollinate orchard crops or alfalfa crops that are important for us to have food. And I am venturing into the new world of controlled environmental agriculture and figuring out how to have pollination in these really robust systems, anything from a simple hoop house to really advanced technological inside ag fields.
Hello, yes, I'm Juan Villalba. I'm a professor at the Wildland Resources Department, Queenie College of Natural Resources, also the Associate Dean for Research and Grad Studies at that college. I mostly work with livestock and also some research and experience with wild herbivores. But my focus of research is understanding the selection of ruminants, why, how, and when select plants, and for which purpose. And that also expanded my interest in the idea of natural plant products and their impacts on animal health, and also on agroecosystems and environmental impacts by livestock. So I'm director of a program, Smart Foodscapes, funded by the USDA, where we are looking at the impact of essentially plant diversity and chemical diversity on the sustainability of agricultural production systems. We are actually claiming that that we are losing diversity in our rangelands, so we are trying to restore that with establishment of legumes that not only enhance nutrition of livestock, but also provide the medicinal properties that we are exploring, from anti-parasitic to antimicrobial, immunomodulatory, antioxidants to ruminants. So these plants can provide that diversity, and also the additional ecological services that these plants can provide, like pollinators, bird habitat, wildlife habitat, where we are restoring these rangelands with these plants. So that entails transdisciplinary project, which we are involving producers, researchers from different institutions from the US and international. And the aim essentially is to enhance the sustainability of our agroecosystems through going back to the future, essentially going back to the roots of biodiversity, plant diversity, and how our animals evolve in a natural environment that actually provided multiple ecosystem services that we are losing by moving into monocultures and systems that are maybe highly productive but also not sustainable. So that's the bottom line. And then we also carry a strong educational component on the system, where we try to educate our next generations of managers for the management of land in a way that is sustainable, and also extending our finding to producers nationwide. So that's and then I introduce Stefan.
Thank you. My name is Stefan Van Vliet. I'm an assistant professor of nutrition within the Department of Nutrition, Dietetics, and Food Sciences. I also help manage the Center for Human Nutrition Studies and Proteomics and Metabolomics Core, the CIB. My work is really focused at the nexus of agriculture and human health. A lot of the work that we're doing is trying to answer questions: do different agricultural production practices, and particularly more sustainable and environmentally friendly practices, also improve the nutritional composition of food? And then the second part of that is also feeding these foods to people to see if this has an appreciable effect on human health. And in that regard, we work together with both farmers, food industry groups, as well as we work on several USDA-funded projects on that. And one of them is with Dr. Villalba. So.
Okay, thank you all. Let's think about where the fields that you work in are going. And let's think about what are the most innovative projects, either underway in your environments or that you're seeing elsewhere. What is the forefront of research around the area of food that you're familiar with that you would like us to know more about? And maybe we can start with Stefan if you want and just go all the way down the list. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I mean, I can mostly comment on what we work on, but at least from our perspective, we just over time have seen this acceleration in this interest, where, especially from the ground up, where we get contacted by farmers a lot that ask, I am, such as in a way as Juan described, grazing my livestock on biodiverse pastures. I see that my animals are healthier. I think I'm producing a healthier product for people, but there's not much research on this. So can we study this? And so that's one thing that we've been working on. We see that further accelerating, where people are using these practices that they feel are improving soil health, are improving the natural resource base of our environment, cleaning up waterways, and then the interest in that regard is that, well, does that also make people healthier? So there's that relationship, the multidisciplinary approach between, in this case, soil science, agriculture, and human nutrition. So where I see the field going are these types of multidisciplinary projects, because from what I feel, at least in the past, in a small side anecdote, when I was at medical schools in the past, we did not interact at all with any of the agricultural fields or really nutrition science fields, but most of the things that we were studying, to a large part, was rooted in dietary origin, but we did not collaborate with food producers. So I think in that regard, I'm very hopeful to see that the field is broadening.
In complete agreement. I think breaking down those silos and getting people that are working on various aspects of the same problem in the same room together, coming up with solutions, is definitely going to be at the forefront. You know, I think we've known for a long time that when we're working on these complex systems, we need to be thinking about different aspects of it, not just the levers that we're most familiar with. I see a lot of RFAs out there asking for community engaged work. So I think this trend towards, you know, trying to listen to and prioritize the voices of the people that we're trying to work with or benefit, the people who are suffering from these health disparities, as well as acknowledging, you know, kind of the unique strengths and opportunities that might exist in different communities. And then the other thing, and this is probably, you know, my bias because it's the kind of work that I do and I like to do, but really taking the work and figuring out the application and measuring solutions that are being designed and maybe tested in a more rigorous clinical setting, make sure that they work in the real world, and figure out how we can scale and translate them without losing the effectiveness that they showed in the lab or the clinic.
Yeah, so kind of echoing what you guys have both said, I do a lot of work with stakeholders and stakeholder engagement and listening to what farmers want and what they want to see in the future and how we can get our research out there and be applied. And one of those things is looking towards more climate smart agriculture and figuring out the future of that and in sometimes grand but sometimes small creative ways. Also working most recently in the system of controlled environmental ag, I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of different disciplines, from the energy level to the on-the-ground grower, to the lighting that needs to be in there, and going from this leafy green food that they have been able to produce to more nutritious food that involves pollination, that you need pollination for, and coming up with new solutions for that has been a really interesting outlook to looking at how things are done and this collaborative effort and taking this small little piece of pollination and expanding it to nutrition or like biodiversity, increasing biodiversity is, I just see that as the future of this collaborative effort. So I'm glad that USDA is working towards that as well.
Great, yeah, and for me, to me, I think I also may, of course, be biased by my perception, given that my work on, plant bioactives and food selection and animal medication. But to me, that trying to go, in a sense, with technology back to the roots into that food and medicine being the same for our population, right? We're seeing now many efforts at enhancing the supply of protein to people, and then thinking on just a unidimensional approach on, well, one nutrient, like, well, protein or energy being the main driver of our future. But to me, it's like looking at this one health, essentially, that looking at the interaction between that food also needs to provide all these associated components or chemicals that allow humans to enjoy a healthy lifestyle and life from these diverse diets, not only for the human, but also the way we grow our food, from healthy soils, healthy plants, healthy animals, and healthy people. So that change, I think that also Stefan also has motivated our research and interest as well, looking at this multidimensional flow of chemicals coming from the ground to the human, in a way that even from functional foods to nutraceuticals that are not necessarily given to humans in a unidimensional way, but in a package with a nutritious diet, essentially, that is coming from animals that consume these medicines and these secondary compounds present potentially in the muscle or in the milk of the animal is passed through to the human. And then more research into these clinical trials that show the preventive properties of that food, as opposed to going into the future, instead of treating diseases, is like preventing disease with food. So to me, that's the challenge.
So, as researchers, we often think kind of the next little while in our research. But one of the things that can help us be very competitive and think about how to leverage our strengths is to think what might be out there even further. And so I want you to think about 5 to 10 years from now in the work you do. What's going to be a difference maker at 5 to 10 years? Or how might the conversation be different in your fields in the next 5 to 10 years? Juan, you want to take that?
Yeah, so that's, well, to me that, going into, systems that are more locally based for food in a way that the supply really fits the demand in terms of availability, and then for areas where that is not possible, trying to find plant and animal products that provide nutrients and bioactives to the diet that allows a healthier individual just by preventing disease. I think that's going, in a sense, in a way back to the future, as I was mentioning before, with production systems that rely on diversity and chemical diversity and nutrient diversity, but also under a context of improving the way that we target that to people. From instance, personalized diets with using AI. That is something that is emerging now for feeding people.
Yeah, so being relatively new in my career, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. And so I think in the pollination realm, we still rely a lot on honeybees for all of our pollination. When growers and farmers think about what they need to pollinate their crops, they automatically think of honeybees, and that may not always be the best case. So expanding that research out into these alternative pollinators and looking at like the structure of the flower and what is actually benefiting the crop and how to best utilize that is the way of the future. It's going to be more sustainable. It's going to be more climate smart. It's going to be more economical for the growers once that research gets established. But one of the main issues in getting these alternative pollinators established are the supply. So right now, alfalfa leaf-cutting bees, Megachile rotundata, and Osmia lignaria, the blue orchard bee, are used heavily as alternative pollinators, but their supply is really low. So learning how to propagate these species both sustainably and economically, and so you can get a lot of them, is going to be really important in the future. And it's stuff that we're working on.
So I cannot predict the future, but this is what I hope to be working on in 5 to 10 years and where I hope the field is. I think we need to be thinking about food access and food sovereignty. I think we need to be thinking about some of the things that you were talking about as far as diversifying our production system and having access to locally grown foods. And I think centering the voices of the people who are not being served by our current systems, both directly and indirectly, and hopefully changing the narrative around some of the things that we do as a country to try to address some of these insecurities. So I think the SNAP program is a great example of this, where historically there's been a huge amount of stigma associated with being on SNAP. It's been seen as a charity or taking a handout, and I think slowly but surely, at least within professional circles, we are starting to recognize that it is not charity, it's not a handout, it is an investment in the future of our country and in the health of our population. And so having that kind of messaging and that kind of work expand and become more of the norm is my hope for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I think that will, and from the food or the nutrition standpoint, that will increasingly start to learn about the complexity of foods. Like in policy documents, we often talk now about energy and protein, but protein isn't protein isn't protein. I mean, foods contain thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of compounds, and I think we'll further appreciate that's complexity of food and how that interacts with our bodies and how it can nourish us and keep us healthy. So I think the field of nutrition will move there increasingly, and linking that to such things as climate smart agricultural practices, I think we'll also start to learn that how we raise our animals, how we grow our crops will impact that beyond just protein or fats or however simple you want to make foods. And that probably has more of a, and it's a little bit out of my area, but also sort of the cultural aspect of food, I think is key as well, that hopefully we'll start to appreciate more as well, that the way that you interact with food hopefully at some point becomes more than just quick bite on the go to keep ourselves going. So I think people are increasingly so. To a way, it's almost like Juan said. It's a little bit back to the future, but in more modern systems. And then, of course, I hope that one day I can use my cell phone to scan my food for carotenoids. But we'll see how far that is out. So.
Actually, Stefan, that is a perfect segue into my question that I didn't tell you in advance. Haha. So just listening to all of you and listening about how you think about your research in the future, I'm going to ask you an off-the-wall question. What kind of expert would you like talking in your ear right now about a topic that could give you insights? As you think about what you do, what's an expertise maybe that you think, wow, if I had somebody who could talk to me all the time and tell me about X, like, for example, if I needed to know something about genetics, I would be talking to a geneticist. And so, because I don't know that area. And so I'm just going to throw that out there. And is there an expertise you could think of that, wow, that would enhance my research?
Yeah, from my perspective, it'd probably be an engineer. So, yeah.
Why an engineer?
Well, I mean, I think, within, and maybe it has to be even someone within IT or something like that, because we're in an increasingly digital world, and with AI coming in, this will accelerate faster and faster. So if we can use more machine learning, if we can use more leverage artificial intelligence to even help us understand some of the pathways and the complexities in food. And I think from that regard, having an engineer talk in my ear that can help me with that, I think would be beneficial. Yeah.
We're going to link you up with our AI, data learning AI center that just got started so that you can meet all those people at USU.
Is that in the business school or not?
No, so there's the unit in the business school, which is primarily an outreach unit supporting businesses with AI applications. There's also a group, the DSAI, the Data Science and AI Center, that recently launched on the USU campus that involves faculty across engineering, science, and other areas that would be able to, I think, have a great conversation with you.
Oh, yeah, no, I'd love to. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm having a hard time narrowing it down to just one, but probably top of my list would be a systems scientist, specifically somebody who specializes in food systems. I think often I am familiar with working with like one actor in the food system, like a food bank or a food pantry, and understanding the ramifications of changes or interventions that we're making. We know from natural systems that you make a change in a complex system and it's not always going to make the change that you expected or wanted. And so having somebody trained in thinking through those things would be a benefit.
I am also torn here. This might come as a surprise, but a horticulturalist would be a great person to have in my ear all the time. I know a lot about bees, but the plant side of things, not so much. And likewise, I always have engineering questions or problems that I need to solve, and I'm just like, thankfully my husband is an engineer, so he just whispers in my ear sometimes when I'm like, I need to figure this out. But yeah, like having that data science, engineering, and horticulture cross-disciplinary expertise is always welcomed.
Just so everybody knows, there are a few engineers in the room today. So. Yeah, there actually is a horticulturist. Thank you, Britt.
Yeah, to me, yeah, probably a little bit of someone that has this broad knowledge about complex systems and AI, I think would be really, in order to, value the individual variability among, animals and then also people, that I could develop programs that are in a way generalistic for, like a pattern for a group, but also starting to take into consideration the welfare and health of the individual, which is really way away from the average. So someone that has that complex understanding from the individual level to the population level, I think will be someone that will really benefit my research. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so let's think about now. We talked about your own research programs and things. Help me see what are the strengths and weaknesses of USU right now. And I'm adding that to the question. I asked about, how can we leverage USU, but I'm also adding the weakness part of this because I need to hear these kinds of things as I think about growing research. And so where are we positioned and how can we leverage that position and what's holding us back is kind of my question in terms of advancing your research.
Yeah, that's, well, for, the positives, I think, of course, the, interaction with agricultural experiment station, the College of Ag, all the expertise on, soils, climate smart agriculture, not only climate smart, but also precision agriculture, knowledge about, the biotech center, and all these issues we've been talking about. Then, an extension program is so significant for not only conveying the message to producers and stakeholders, but also, the great programs we have with the Ag in the Classroom and other educational outputs that help expand this knowledge to our future, essentially, right? So I think so all those are positives. The Institute of Water, Land and Air in our college and all the potential benefits that we can get from the environmental perspective on all these issues that we've been talking about. Or people working on restoration in a particular case, that's so helpful for where we are looking at, restoring rangelands essentially. So all those are positives that I can see. Well, of course, nutrition and food science with all the expertise also from agriculture. The thing that I would like to see evolving is medical school for sure will be someone that I can see potentially interacting with some person in the med school that is not completely in the orthodox medical field, but I know these universities have, so that and then with the addition of veterinary science, I think that's really a plus, again, another benefit. But yeah, I would say for the looking at food as a whole, maybe medical, more interaction with medical doctors would be one.
I don't have a lot to say on this, but I have enjoyed the collaborations that I have been able to witness over the last couple of years that I've been with USDA, and we are very fortunate that USU has let 3 USDA facilities, so it's the B Lab, poisonous plants and the forage range that are on USU's campus. And that has been a really great opportunity to expand and collaborate. From my own perspective, I would love to see more collaboration between USDA, our units, and USU Department of Ag. And we have tapped into biology pretty well, but I'd love to get more involved and engaged in the Department of Ag here on USU's campus. That's all I have to say.
We should get you to Extension Annual Conference too, to meet our county faculty. It'd be awesome. So I have a lot to say on this. So I am a huge fan of both Cache Valley and Utah State University. Whenever we're trying to hire somebody, I always try to go to dinner so I can talk up all the things that are wonderful about working at what I think is a pretty unique state school, right? So I won't get into all of that here, but some of the things that I think are very beneficial for specifically the area of food that I focus on are things around the topic of the last session on health and educational equity. So I really appreciate the focus that my institution has on recruiting first-generation students and providing them with the resources and the tools that they need to be successful here. I think that having more people at the table and more diverse voices in the research area as well as implementation is how we're going to achieve kind of the goals of my research program. I also really appreciate the focus on undergraduate research. I was at 2 other state schools before I came here, and they had some small programs, but what is available here, it goes far and beyond that. And I think that that's so important. You need to catch the undergraduate students and help them understand what research is if we're hoping to recruit people to get into research in whatever aspect as further along in their careers. Extension is a huge, again, here's my bias showing, but we have offices in just about every county in the state. We have master's level people who are embedded in those communities, listening to stakeholders, making a difference in their lives, and that makes it much easier and faster to start the type of community engaged work that I'm starting to focus on because you're not starting from the ground up in building that relationship of trust. The other amazing thing about Extension is that we really span the disciplines that are related to food access, nutrition security, health equity, stuff like that. So everything from, basic agricultural science, how are we growing things, to nutrition education, to community development, and things like the Rural Online Initiative that are helping communities across our state be, able to economically afford food. College of Agriculture, similarly, provides the chance for people working at different aspects in the area of food to get together and collaborate. And then the last strength that I wanted to call out is the Transforming Communities Institute. So in my field, as well as in other RFAs, there is more and more emphasis on doing what some people call participatory work and what the social work field calls community engaged work. What Extension has kind of been doing from day one before any of those terms were created. But the Transforming Communities Institute, Jamie Walters is the co-PI on that grant I mentioned earlier. And we're going to be creating a toolkit based on community, helping university faculty engage their students in community engaged learning in an effective and equitable way. So I just think having that group of people with expertise in that methodology that's very wanted by funding agencies right now, having them in one place and building a learning community through their scholars network is a huge benefit. Oh, weaknesses. Put me on the spot, but you know, the main things that jumped right into my head are things that, to some extent, I don't know how much control you have over, kind of big picture things. One thing that jumped into my brain is just kind of something that I know we in our department are working on it, and campus-wide we're working on it, but increasing our graduate student salaries so that we can be competitive in bringing the best students here is really important to our ability to succeed in research. And along with that, kind of some of the externalities that go into whether a graduate student can feasibly come and live here. So affordable housing, and then not just for graduate students, but for our undergraduates and our faculty as well, access to affordable and high quality childcare.
Great, thank you. I think the strengths of Utah State, I've been here now for 3 years, and I felt ever since I started, there's a lot of momentum going in terms of like the university went from an R2 to an R1 institute when I joined, not because of I joined, of course. I'm not implying that, but I'm not implying that, but the same January did. So anyway, and ever since I felt like sponsored programs, there's additional support there to work on bigger grants. So I feel that has helped a lot. So this momentum, I think has been very beneficial. So this is one of the strengths. The university is growing in research and can become, well, already is, but can further go on that momentum. I also agree with graduate student funding. That needs to be upped, but I think that steps have been made towards that. And then in terms of like, well, I don't know if this is so much a weakness, but I think further building out the infrastructure to support the research, and I think that's one of the things. I mean, in terms of like, I think Utah State has a very good position because of this interaction between agriculture and social sciences, human nutrition, that if we further build out the infrastructure, I think that can be a leading lab or a leading institute out west and in the US. So I think that's the goal.
Thank you, great comments. We're gonna do the last round as a lightning round, okay? So lightning round. All of us today get our information from various sources. And to think about our research, you know, some of us were trained to read journals way back when. There's a lot of ways you get information now. Lightning round, what should we be reading or listening to be at the forefront of the future of food?
I say we should listen to farmers. That's my answer.
Say what?
Listen to farmers.
Listen to farmers.
Yeah,
Excellent.
because they have to figure it out, otherwise they go out of business. So if for me at least, if I listen to them, I kind of know what the next grant is I need to write.
So put yourself in an environment where you can hear those voices.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, because as academics, that's not an environment we might be in all the time.
No,
It's
that's
hearing
right.
from the farmers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Listen to the eaters. No, but really, I thought of a few resources that I think that I get a lot out of. One of them is a podcast by a registered dietitian called the Food Dignity Podcast. And it's sometimes a little bit superficial, but it's a great way to hear about a lot of innovative and interesting projects going on all over the country. And then I also wanted to call out some, I think, really innovative resources that my extension colleagues created as part of the Tribal and Rural Opioid Initiative. So there's a great podcast series that was a collaboration with UPR called Debunked. So this is outside of the area of food, but it's definitely solidly within health equity, which I pulled in there. And then they also did Voices of Resiliency comic books. So kind of that intersection between science, storytelling, art, that I think can help us communicate our message to a growingly, and unfortunately growingly, maybe hostile listeners, environment, population.
I have a couple of things, and I'm going to be quick. One, I think listening to farmers and extension is a really great way to know what's going on and what needs to be out there. I think listening to science communicators through whatever media that is, whether it's the podcast or social media or whatever, I think there's really great science communicators out there trying to do their best. With that, as researchers, we also need to give our information to those science communicators, which I feel like we don't do a great job about. And then finally, as odd as it sounds, sometimes connecting with through children's books can go a long way. And if you want to learn more about bee and bee diversity, Am I Even a Bee is a really great kids book. My favorite one, but it does a great job of explaining the differences of bees and the diversity of bees out there.
Okay, yeah, and my take is also, I agree, I have a colleague says that, well, going to talk to producers is the way he's getting his next research questions for his proposal. So that's, and then another way that I think what I should be listening is, the diversity of colleagues that interacted through the years, creating a community of colleagues that not necessarily in the specific field, but then from other fields, and then visiting and discussing. I have several chat groups, with groups of researchers from different countries and different institutions. So, and then, they post ideas, views, and then they make comments on research that in this kind of media, it's easier to see than them publishing on a manuscript or putting a review. So I think creating the largest community of colleagues possible, I think is a great way to get to know the pulse of a particular research field and how that field is evolving, not only locally or nationally, but then worldwide.
Great suggestions, great suggestions. Well, I want to thank our panelists. This has been an amazing discussion, and so let's all take a moment and just thank them. Okay, folks, you can go ahead and have a seat or grab a drink. We're going to go ahead and introduce Donnie Elzinga. And for those of you who may not have met Donnie yet, she is our large proposal development specialist in the Office of Research. Donnie has been with us a year? Yeah, 1 year. And part of her role is to just be the person who's always looking for opportunities that maybe we're not thinking about. Or maybe it's policy issues that may affect future opportunities. And so each time I ask Donnie to come and give us some insights right at the forefront of what is being put out by federal agencies and other sponsors. So Donnie, you're not in a booth this time.
Oh, I know. We're walking better.
We're walking better today.
I'm going to use the hand.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, for those of you who were here last summit, I had tore my calf muscle. Don't do that. It takes forever to heal. But I'm walking, I'm not jumping yet. So excited to be here today. I'm Donnie, like Lisa said, and I've got some slides here. Let's see if I can get it moving. Oh no, there we are. Okay, we're gonna go back a little. So my name's Donnie, I'm the external funding specialist, and I love helping you find funding for your work. That's my passion. So, but as we get started, I first want to do a shout out. We kind of already did a shout out to the engineering college, but I just want to see what colleges are here. Part of the reasoning behind this summit and goal is to just get us talking amongst each other and amongst colleges. So I'm going to have you do like a verbal shout out, or just raise your hand, or if you're feeling like early 90s, you could like raise the roof or something, or like Ann Hong's, just the two-hander. So I'm going to call it your college. Let's see, and hope I've got them all. Let's start with the College of Agriculture and Applied Sciences. So give me a wave. Oh, that's awesome. Look, all right here. And was this where our horticulturist was? Somewhere right here? There we go. There we go, Lindsay, right here. Thanks. Okay, how about the College of Engineering? Who's here from there? There we go, over here. There's our engineer, whoever needed that. College of Humanities and Social Sciences. Yeah, we've got Nicole. She's on my team. She's on my research development team. So thanks, Nicole, for representing the College of Science. Everyone here from the College of Science? No, not today. Oh, Lisa. We got Lisa. The College of Education and Human Services. Anyone here? There we go. Wonderful. Thanks for waving your hand. College of Natural Resources. There we go. We've got a few. They're right here. Awesome. Thank you for being here. School of Business. Do we have anyone from business? I don't know if I've seen anyone. Okay. College of Vet Med. College of the Arts. Okay. Kind of what I expected. Is that kind of what you guys all expected with the topic today? Did I miss anybody? Extension. Okay, a big shout out. Raise your hand if you're from Extension. Oh, I'm sorry I missed you. Great, thank you. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Well, we're glad you're here, and we hope you get a chance to chat and get to know each other if you don't. Okay, so I have just a few minutes to talk about some funding opportunities. I'm going to start for just a minute on the very well-beaten path of funders we likely know about it, and then I'm going to step off to the less beaten path and some different opportunities, and then we're going to go super off the path with some funding adjacent opportunities. So that's the roadmap of where we're going. So on the well-beaten path, I'm sure we're all familiar with the USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture. We all know that, but I just wanted to flag and make sure, did you know that they published their calendar for the year? Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure if you didn't know that, I have it linked on the Research Summit website. You can check out and get a good plan, get with your team. Okay, and then I'm sure you know about the Foundation for Food and Agricultural Research. They have some really cool, innovative programs. Like, for example, they just released this Sustainable Packaging Innovation Lab solicitation, if you saw it, helping understand and be in compliance with the food packaging requirements across the world. And as I see, those of you who are in your early career, I believe it's in the first 8 years of your research career, you can apply every year. They have the New Innovator in Food and Agricultural Research Award. So you can plan for that. We run our internal competition in late November and December if you want to apply for that and be USU's nominee. So be sure to get that on your calendar. Okay, Lisa introduced me by saying, I look ahead on policy. Y'all know we're in a very, very unique spot, both at the state and the federal level on policy. So what I wanted to do today is step off the beaten path while we're waiting for this new administration to take over, and just flag some different things that you may not know of. So it's kind of going to be just a rapid fire of some opportunities. So I want to start with the Good Food Institute. They have a portfolio of our alternative protein grants. So if that's your field, that may be of interest. They're expecting to release a solicitation in the next few months. They empower high-quality research that will build the scientific foundation of the alternative protein industry. So they've given, in the last few years, $21 million in research funding and 118 grants. So there's that. I want to highlight the Institute of Food Technologists. They provide awards to incentivize transformative food system innovations at different stages of their development. So they have different grants. They have $25,000 seed grants, $100,000 growth grants, $250,000 Seeding the Future grand prizes. And another one, and this is related, it does have government funding. I believe it's an initiative that flows through Purdue University. But if your focus is on international looking, this supports projects that enhance agricultural sustainability, supply chain resilience, and food security in developing nations. They don't have a current solicitation open, but their website says that one is coming, so you can go and subscribe to their email list to be sure if that's in your focus area. And this one is more of a tech transfer use inspired type opportunity. They have a suite of investments that really try to propel innovations to the market. So if you have work that is ready to scale, ready to go to the market, this might be a great one. They have a solicitation, should be coming out in the next few months. So I recommend you look at that, Food Shot Global. Okay, so that was my rapid fire of some different ideas. There's one thing I want to flag here, and it's kind of fun because it plays right off the panel about disciplines working together. So the National Science Foundation, and I'm sorry if I talk about this everywhere I go, so sorry if you've already heard me say this, but they have a suite of programs focused on convergence research. And convergence research, as they define it, is research that's trying to solve a very compelling and very specific program or problem, and bringing together a lot of disciplines deeply integrated to try to solve that problem. So they have different programs, but the NSF, if you look at the big tree here, I snipped it from a webinar I was in as fast as I could, but they remade their Convergence Accelerator program, and they're doing a slow regional expansion across the country. So Utah is part of the region that's going to expand in in fall of 2026. So we have like 18 months to get ready. I just want to flag it to you all, and it sounds like from the panel that we're wanting to integrate and we're wanting to work together and have those experts whispering in our ear. So our team is working to bring some programming. If you have ideas on what you'd like that to be so that USU can be prepared and on the forefront as this comes to our region to really capitalize on that research funding and solve problems. So I just want to flag it. Reach out if you have thoughts or questions. We're working on that. Just a couple more. The DoD, the Department of Defense, is also working in this area. I wanted to just throw out a few labs that I could find, and I'm sure there are many, many more. But there's a food analysis and diagnostic laboratory that protects U.S. service members and their families, all this kind of food-related stuff. There's a lab doing that. This lab is, I'm going to read it, it seeks to enable deployable, on-demand production of appetizing, microbial origin food, starting from water, air, and electricity with minimal to no supplementation. Pretty cool. Pretty cool lab there in DARPA. And there's more. I mean, there's a whole roadmap for strengthening food security in the force. There's a military nutrition division with the U.S. Army. I recently went through a training from a DoD program officer that talks about how to engage with these labs. Find their people, their work and their staff, their researchers, start to engage and network, which is very relationship built to help you get funding with the DoD. So if you want to learn about that, I'm happy to share my resources and learning. So work on the future of food is happening at the DoD. Okay, in my last couple of minutes, this is where we're going to step way off the path, but it's a funding adjacent idea. So academic honorifics, in my field of research development, what it is awards and recognition. One of my goals is to bring this program into USU to help identify and nominate or help you apply for these awards and recognitions that can just build your well-rounded portfolio, bring in more funding, and just increase the impact of your work. So I am a part of a national research development group that is working on this. And just last week, I got my hands on a very comprehensive list of these awards and honorifics. So please call me if you're wanting to, in like all different areas. So I just want to highlight just a few rapid fire. The Institute of Food Technologists, they recognize individuals working in the science of food, which is very broad here. But you can see they have a lot of different words: the Lifetime Achievement, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, Leadership, Service, Research and Innovation Awards. There's lots of opportunities that you can get your name in there for. The Cereals and Grains Associations, they honor members and support them, or who support the efforts of cereal grain science industry. So they have an Excellence in Teaching Award, a Young Scientist Research Award, Applied Research, and a lot more. The International Association for Food Protection, they have this James M.J. Diversity and Food Safety Award. They recognize individuals who have made significant contributions toward fostering diversity within these food safety related careers. And there are a lot more. Those are just a few. Like there's the American Dairy Science Association has some. I'm sure you all know this, but the American Feed Industry has one. Society for Nutrition, Education and Behavior, Beef Improvement Federation, Poultry Science Association. Oh, someone said it. How did you say it? Oh, Suck Up. Okay, I was going to try to guess, but thank you for knowing. The Suck Up Global Food Security Award. Thank you. And NIFA has this partnership awards program. So there's just a lot. And I just got my hands on a list. If you're interested, email me, let me know. I'm happy to help you build a well-rounded portfolio that just increases your research program. So thanks for your time today. All of this is on the Summit website, or call me anytime. Thanks.
Thank you, Donnie. And I want to take a moment to emphasize the last part of what Donnie talked about. as a university, we need to do more of this. We need to be putting together those nomination packages for our colleagues to be recognized nationally and internationally for their research accomplishments. And it's something I'm thinking about in the office, about how do we help more of that happen. That's what puts USU on the map more with our colleagues throughout the country. And so, Donnie, we need to have a conversation. I didn't know you had this new list. So let's think about how to leverage it. And so that's the end of our formal program today. The rest of the time, you're welcome to stay and to have conversations. I think we heard some good opportunities maybe to connect and think about what those connections could mean in terms of advancing your research. So feel free to have more food. I have been told that there are containers here. So if you would like to take some food, we are happy to have you take it. Maybe a starving graduate student or two would appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for coming today, and please look forward to our next research summits, which I don't know the topic of yet, but we will be announcing. And so otherwise, enjoy the afternoon and have some great conversations.